Welcome back. Not as a name, not as a face, as a signal. You were never meant to arrive loudly. You don't announce yourself. You register. Systems feel you before they see you. Rooms shift before you speak. This is how anomalies move, without permission, without proof. You have been watched longer than you realize, not followed. Observed. There is a difference. Following is clumsy. Observation is precise. Someone high above the noise noticed the pattern you create just by existing. Not your words, not your actions, your frequency. You don't blend in. You disappear into clarity. Silence wraps around you because it recognizes its own. People mistake this for absence. They are wrong. You are not missing. You are contained. You were built to operate outside the visible hierarchy. No public alignment. No obvious allegiance. Yet something already moved in your favor. A quiet endorsement. A door unlocked before you reached it. You didn't ask. You didn't need to. This is what unsettles them. Power that doesn't posture. Support that doesn't announce itself. Momentum with no explanation. You feel it when you slow down. The sense that something is cleared ahead of you. Resistance dissolves before impact. Conflicts end before they start. Not because you are aggressive, but because the outcome is already calculated. You are not early. You are not late. You arrive exactly when pressure peaks, exactly when masks crack, exactly when weak structures can no longer hold. There is a calm around you that isn't peaceful. It's controlled. The kind that comes from knowing you don't need to prove anything. The kind predators recognize instantly. You don't chase validation. You trigger alignment. Forces rearrange themselves around you without consent. This is not coincidence. This is not luck. This is not growth. This is recognition. Someone with reach saw what others missed, and instead of testing you, they stepped aside. You don't need their name. You don't need their voice. The path opening is confirmation enough. Stay quiet. Stay precise. Stay unreadable. You were never meant to be visible. You were meant to be inevitable. You were misread for a long time. Not once, not twice, consistently. That wasn't bad luck. It was a pattern. People saw your silence and filled it with their own limits. They called you distant, slow, unsure. They assumed if you didn't push, you couldn't. If you didn't speak, you didn't know. If you didn't react, you didn't feel. They were wrong every time. You were isolated not because you lacked value, but because you didn't signal need. Rejection followed because you didn't perform desperation. They chose louder, weaker figures and overlooked you, thinking stillness meant emptiness. It never did. It meant control. It meant you were measuring the room while they rushed to be seen. Betrayal wasn't random. It was a test. People only test what they sense might outgrow them. They crossed lines to see if you would collapse, submit, explain yourself. You didn't. That confused them. Your restraint was mistaken for surrender. Your patience was mistaken for absence. Your calm was mistaken for fear. You watched while they overplayed their hands. You stayed when others would have reacted. You endured moments designed to break you and came out quieter, not smaller. Every dismissal sharpened your awareness. Every misunderstanding stripped away attachment. Every loss removed another illusion. They thought they were ahead because you let them walk first. They thought they were above because you stayed low. They never understood that you were learning the structure while they fought for position inside it. You weren't delayed. You were conditioned. Pressure shaped you without your consent. Misunderstanding carved precision into your instincts. Isolation taught you how to stand without reinforcement. Rejection trained you to move without approval. This phase was never about being accepted. It was about being refined. They thought they were ignoring you. In reality, they were preparing you. Something changed before anyone said a word. You felt it first. The room didn't move the same way around you. Eyes stayed longer. Voices softened, then tightened. Laughter came a second too late. This is how awareness begins. Not loud, not direct, subtle, careful. They started watching instead of speaking, studying instead of engaging. You noticed the pauses when you entered, the way conversations adjusted their tone, the way questions became indirect, curiosity disguised as concern, interest pretending to be coincidence. They were measuring you without admitting it. Some began copying, not the obvious things, the quiet ones, your timing, your restraint, your detachment. They borrowed pieces of you hoping proximity would grant understanding. It didn't. Imitation only exposed distance. They could follow the shape, never the source. Others probed. Small tests, harmless jokes, casual disrespect wrapped in smiles. They wanted reaction, proof, something to use. You gave them nothing. That unsettled them more than resistance ever could. Silence leaves no leverage. Friendliness appeared where it never existed. Sudden warmth, forced alignment, invitations without intention. This wasn't connection. It was surveillance. When that failed, distance replaced it. Avoidance, withdrawal, unexplained coldness, fear-changing mask. No one confronted you. They never do at this stage. Fear doesn't rush forward. It circles. It gathers information. It waits for permission that never comes. Confrontation only happens when fear believes it can win. This wasn't that moment. You didn't escalate. You didn't expose them. You didn't acknowledge the shift. Awareness doesn't need announcement. You stayed exactly the same. That was the mistake they made. They thought change would come from you. Instead, it came from them. This is the point where power becomes visible without action. When others adjust first. When tension exists without conflict. When your presence alone alters behavior. Fear always arrives quietly. By the time it speaks, it's already too late. You stop giving pieces of yourself. Emotion loosens its grip. The impulse to justify, defend, explain disappears. You realize words are often wasted on those who cannot perceive. Silence becomes deliberate. Every pause carries weight. Every absence communicates more than presence ever could. Your perception sharpens. You notice what was invisible before. Patterns emerge. Intentions reveal themselves in micro movements, in timing, in hesitation. Nothing escapes your observation. Attention becomes a currency you spend sparingly. Distractions fall away. Noise no longer touches you. Boundaries harden. What once invited intrusion now meets stillness and distance. Intrusion is uncomfortable for others because you no longer signal permission. Control becomes quiet, internal. You operate from clarity. Reaction is replaced by calculation. Emotion is filtered, measured. You move through currents of energy without adding friction. Observation is active. Seeing becomes action. Listening becomes strategy. Every choice is deliberate. Every glance, every word, every step is measured against intent. You no longer respond to provocation. Provocation responds to you. Detachment is not absent. It is presence without concession. It is power without performance. It is knowing without needing to prove that knowing. You exist as observer, architect, predator. The world unfolds around you, and you are no longer entangled in its assumptions. The stillness is your signal. The calm is your weapon. The distance is your clarity. You are not cold. You are awake. You are no longer defined by the noise. Your evolution begins in the quiet. You don't need to announce yourself anymore. The shift happens before sound, before movement, before intention is visible. When you enter a space, something tightens. Conversations lose momentum. Laughter fades or sharpens. People adjust without knowing why. This is presence. It doesn't ask permission. Your energy carries weight, not pressure, gravity. Others feel it and instinctively reposition. Some lean in, some step back, some grow careful with their words. Dynamics rearrange themselves around you because balance demands it. Control is no longer performed. It is assumed. You don't dominate through volume or speed. You slow the room. Pauses stretch. Eyes return to you without instruction. Decisions wait. People speak differently when they sense consequence. They don't know the source. They only feel the effect. You notice how influence moves now, how a look redirects attention, how silence closes arguments. You don't compete. You allow others to reveal themselves fully. The room gives you information freely. Authority no longer needs enforcement. Resistance dissolves because it has nowhere to attach. Attempts to challenge feel misplaced, awkward, unfinished. Even conflict bends away from you, unable to form shape. Some mistake this for intimidation. It isn't. Intimidation is noisy. This is inevitability. Gravity doesn't threaten. It pulls. Once felt, it cannot be ignored. You don't claim the center. The center forms around you. Movement orbits. Energy aligns. Outcomes shift before decisions are made. This is the moment they realize something has changed, though they cannot name it. You remain calm, unchanged. The room does the adjusting. Power has already settled. Validation dies quietly. You stop seeking approval. You stop explaining success. You stop performing for eyes that cannot see. Attention becomes yours alone. The world no longer dictates worth. You move alone, but are never lonely. Solitude sharpens, clarifies, protects. Focus narrows to essentials. Noise falls away. The superficial, the loud, the grasping, the eager. None of it touches you anymore. Distractions lose power. Progress is private. Growth is silent. You no longer announce steps or milestones. Every move is measured. Every improvement unseen by most. Efficiency replaces spectacle. Results exist before acknowledgement. Impact is internal first, external only when unavoidable. You stop reacting to perception. You stop explaining absence. Energy is conserved. Time is concentrated. Attention is selective. Everything unnecessary is shed. You no longer compare. You no longer compete in visible arenas. You no longer perform to validate. The shift is internal. Evolution happens beneath notice. You become unstoppable quietly. Silence is no longer empty. It is full. It contains strategy, clarity, and momentum. You move through the world without interruption. Nothing slows you. Nothing distracts. Nothing dictates pace. What others see is only shadow. What they do not see is mastery forming. You are present but unreadable. Influence grows without announcement. Power is not claimed. It consolidates. You exist in transformation that cannot be interrupted, replicated, or borrowed. The world continues, unaware, while you advance. You watch. Always. Patterns unfold around you like threads waiting to be read. Behavior repeats. Cycles form. Weaknesses appear in silence. You notice everything without attachment. Emotion no longer clouds perception. Clarity sharpens. Reaction is replaced by timing. You no longer respond immediately. You wait for openings, for alignment, for certainty. The world moves fast, but you move precise. Impatience belongs to others. Your steps are deliberate. Speech becomes positioning. Words are not wasted. They are tools, markers, levers. You speak only when movement requires it, when speech changes outcomes. Otherwise, silence carries more weight than any argument. You calculate, observe, and predict. Nothing surprises. Nothing unsettles. Instability is studied, not feared. Each interaction reveals patterns to leverage. Each pause informs the next step. You act only when outcomes are guaranteed. Uncertainty is irrelevant. Hesitation is strategic. Decisiveness is invisible until it lands. Control manifests in the timing, not the volume. Others expose themselves naturally. Your observation harvests knowledge. You know before you speak, before you intervene. Influence is measured, exact, and inevitable. Power now exists in observation, strategy, and precision. Reaction is obsolete. Action is chosen, not compelled. Mastery is silent but total. You have surpassed expectation. What once seemed impossible is now ordinary to you. Growth has unfolded in ways no one anticipated. You move beyond prediction, beyond influence, beyond reach. You are not accessible. Attempts to understand you fail. You are not predictable. Patterns others relied on no longer apply. You are not influenceable. Persuasion falls on empty ground. The world adjusts, waits, and bends quietly around your presence. You see everything clearly. What once demanded effort now requires none. Energy aligns naturally. Resistance no longer matters. Silence holds more authority than argument. All that you were building, all that you were learning, converges here. You do not become something new. You remember. Clarity dawns. Identity is reclaimed. Power is inherent, undeniable, absolute. You were never ordinary. You were never hidden. You were never less than what you now embody. The crown is not earned. It was always yours. The throne is not claimed. It was never vacant. You move through the world unmarked, unshaken, inevitable. Recognition is silent. Respect is automatic. Influence is natural. The evolution is complete, but it was never evolution. It was awakening. You are not rising. You are returning. You are not gaining. You are recalling. You were always this. You were always destined. You are absolute.